Hey, it's me, Ball to the Dre, and today I'm reviewing Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. It was a great game in my childhood, but it's still a great game and should it be remembered more than its successors in the series? Let's find out.
Monkey attack! But will he save the princess?
Help!
Find out in Paper Mario! Rated E for everyone.
After the success of Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, Nintendo began making a sequel a few years later for the Nintendo 64. Well, sort of. Instead of being developed by Squaresoft, it was now being done by Intelligent System. It was going to be called Super Mario RPG 2, but Squaresoft put a cease and desist on that. Now, during this time, Nintendo and Square didn't really get along. I mean, they dislike each other so much that Square took Final Fantasy and put it on the PlayStation. Now, granted, there was other reason, mainly because of hardware limitations of the N64, and the big reason why Final Fantasy and most RPGs decided not to develop games for that console. But that is another story for another time, I suppose. You may notice from the footage I'm showing you on the screen that the art style looks closer to Super Mario World and Yoshi Island. Even characters like Poochie and Namex were going to be in the game. Although I really like the Super Nintendo art style right there, I'm glad Nintendo was a more paper style artwork with 3D backgrounds. The story begins with Mario and Luigi being invited to Princess Peach's castle to a party. With Mario and Peach all alone, Bowser crashes through the window and fights Mario. At first it seems like a copy of the first battle in Super Mario RPG, but instead Bowser finally wins thanks to the power of the Star Ward. Now before you begin the game, it's actually shown that Bowser, along with Kammy Cooper, stole the Star Ward from the 7 Star Spirits, and he ends up using that ward to trap them into cards and spread it all around the Mushroom Kingdom. After Mario recovered in Goomba Village, which is the tutorial stage of the game, Mario, along with his friends he meets along the way, travel to different locations to rescue each Star Spirit and use that power to defeat Bowser. Paper Mario is a turn-based RPG similar to Super Mario RPG, but it's more basic by comparison. Mario can attack by jumping or use a hammer, use items, search partners, and use the power of the Star Spirit. You can also gain new abilities with badges that you can equip for stronger attacks or abilities. Like most RPG, you level up to increase your stats, but in Paper Mario, you have a choice among your health points, fire points, which use your special moves, and badge points. I think it's an interesting way to strategize your stats. I usually go with badge points, fire points, then health points, but you have the option to prioritize your stats however you like. The only way to increase your attack is weapon upgrades and specific badges. The only downside to this is that the more you battle, the less experience points you get, so much so that you may end up getting 0 points exactly, so it kind of makes battling more and more pointless every time. So my advice to you is not to grind too much and just go through the story a bit normal. Don't worry about grinding. This is really a basic RPG. Partners are limited in battles. They can attack like Mario and use special moves, but they have no health points, share fire points with Mario, and can't use items unless you get that proper badge for it. Again, compare this to Super Mario RPG, each character has their own stats, and even though I prefer that mostly, I still like the way Paper Mario handles the partners by being able to switch out mid-battles, even though it does cost you a turn, unless again you have the proper badge for it. And they have the uses outside of battles. Each of them has abilities to help Mario explore areas he couldn't before, and even solve puzzles with them. Badges are the most complex items you get in this game. You can equip all the badges you want as long as you have enough points, that is. A lot of these are very useful, like stronger hammer and jump power, increased health and fire points, immune to spikes, and so much more. Of course, the most useful ones are available later in the game, like being able to switch partners without using a turn. You don't get that until World 6, and there's about 7 worlds in this game, 8 if you count the final battle, but with that small nitpick aside, badges are the best part of this game, and it does encourage multiple playthroughs so you can try out each strategy, you know, every time you want to replay the game. Saving Star Spirit is the main objective of each world, and each one you get, you gain a different ability like healing, attack our enemies, put them to sleep, and other fun stuff like that. Most of them you can do pretty much the same thing with a regular item, which doesn't sound impressive at first, but it is actually very useful because you can use it anytime as long as you got enough star energy, and that energy refills with each turn you take in battle or when you rest up in an inn. Princess Peach is also a playable character, mostly about sneaking around and getting information about the next Star Spirit location. And although you don't get to battle as her, it is a nice distraction and has some very funny moments like helping Bowser take down Mario and their game show quiz. It's definitely a fun experience, even though for the most part you don't get to do much with her. There's also Trink, which is a little companion that hangs around Princess Peach. He pretty much gives the information from Peach to Mario and pretty much progress the story of the game. The majority of enemies are based on existing Mario enemies like Goombas, Koopa Troopas, Shy Guys, and so on. Most of them look the same from the video games, while others are just like different colors or different equipments. Some of them even have their own special abilities like having spikes on their heads, able to steal coins or items, and stealing HP and bringing in another enemy. The one enemy I hate in this game are the Fuzzies. Not only do they steal your health, but they also summon another enemy, causing the battle to last a little bit longer. Now, granted, if you're underexperienced, it's just more experience points for you, but it's still annoying, especially when you can't get any more star points and, you know, grow from that experience pretty much, so it's just a time waster. Boss battles are definitely the best part of the game. First, I like the little preview you get before each chapter. First time playing this, I always get excited at these moments, especially when I recognize the type of enemies from past Mario games. I always wonder what the strategy is going to be and, you know, how difficult they're going to be overall. Each of them are challenging and have a unique gimmick to them that makes each battle feel a little bit special. It's not the most complex things you're going to experience, but it's definitely a fun moment. The only disappointing battle is the final battle is Bowser. I don't want to spoil too much, but I honestly expected more because the other battles has other enemies fighting beside you, and even though that may not sound impressive on paper, no pun intended, it does really spice things up and make you use your partners more, while Bowser used to stick to maybe that one main strategy, maybe switch it up a bit when he does a specific attack, and that's pretty much it. It's a bit easier by comparison. But otherwise, I really love the boss battles in this game and love the design of each of them. there's a lot of things about Paper Mario I like when I first played it as a kid and even now. Here's some of the things I like in no particular order. The partners I like, they all based on Mario enemies, like Goombas, Koopa Troopers, Bob-ombs, Lakitu. It's really cool to see these past Mario enemies that was viewed as bad guys, having their own towns, being, just normal citizens like people in the Mushroom Kingdom and even helping out Mario. The only partner I don't think is based on a Mario enemy is Wart, but I'll say that it might be a reference to Super Mario Bros. 2 or Super Mario USA, the electric guys that goes around each platform. But I think it's really cool that these Mario enemies, or what before this game came out, were just viewed as Mario enemies, was displayed as normal people for once. I like the little exploration around Toad Town. Uh, I think all of them is mandatory to explore to progress through a stage, but you can take your time, explore each area, and even gain some experience points, some items, especially some power ups. It really does make the town feel bigger and an actual town. And I like the little shortcuts you can take to the other areas you visit, especially the when you go underground and fighting those squid enemies. I like how Bowser feels like a threat for the first time. Like before then, it's not that Bowser wasn't a bad antagonist, or I mean, like bad as in underdeveloped. But I do feel like in this game, it feels like Bowser was like the most serious during that time. At least for me as a kid, like I feel like almost anything cannot stop Bowser, even though this is a game and of course the hero's going to win. But I just like how they treated Bowser, and even though Bowser's got his comedic side, he still feels like a proper final boss, even though I kind of disappointed with the actual battle now that I played it again. I like the little Easter eggs around, like Mario turning into 8-bit Mario, which was also Super Mario RPG. And of course, I mentioned the jokes in the game, especially in the Ice Cave in World 7. Pretty much all the imposters, and even the last one where you meet up with other NPCs around, in the explorations you visit beforehand. And the little sub bosses like Junior Trooper, well, especially Junior Trooper, facing him, each time, and he has a different strategy. Man, just like so many little positives, but I was just gonna leave it as that. There's also these resource people that help you either find items, go to your next objectives, or this one in the dry desert area, the one that gives you curses, and that sounds bad on paper, but in this game it's a random power up that happens anytime during a battle or even outside a battle. Sometimes it increases your attack power, defenses, the number of star points you get, and well, most of the time they come in unnecessary spots, pretty much battles that you already got by yourself, but suddenly you get this extra power. But when it comes in at the right time, like experience points, especially after a boss battle, it's the greatest thing ever. Of course, Paper Mario is not a perfect game. I do have some negatives about it. And I'll admit some of these are a bit biased and unfair, but hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. The first one is that partners don't have HP. Ever since I read that Nintendo Power magazine and saw that a Super Mario RPG 2 was confirmed, I was expecting, a direct sequel to that game. And the partners are not bad. They do their job well in this game. It's just that I prefer them having their own HP. They can get hit, but instead of using health points, they use tanks, and that could really mess up your battle strategy. Level grinding is under kind of useless. As I mentioned before, you can grind levels, but the more you battle, the less experience points you get, which is common in turn-based RPG. But in this case, if you grind too much, you won't get any experience points, and for the rest of the at least the chapter, you end up avoiding enemies instead of actually battling them, unless they put you in a situation where you have to battle. And keep in mind that leveling up doesn't increase your attack powers or defenses, just your health points, fire points, and badge points, which you can only choose one of the three. So that kind of makes leveling up a bit more complicated than your average RPG. And again, no Gino or Malo. This one's definitely a personal bias. I'm not taking points off games on this one, but again, when they announced it as Super Mario RPG 2, I was hoping for the return of Gino. Milo is not bad, but bigger Gino fan, and ever since they kind of went with a different direction, it's a bit disappointing. Even though I do like Paper Mario, I end up getting the game and enjoying it for what it is. It's sad that we may not ever get a proper Super Mario RPG 2 sequel. And the last one, and I think this one is pretty legit. I'm not sure if everybody's going to agree with me on this one, but Kemi Cooper didn't have a a proper boss battle. Technically, she did have a battle. It's more of a scripted event with the Little Star Tink, who ends up helping Princess Peach throughout the game. But I was hoping Kemi Cooper would have her own little sub battle, like the battle before Bowser, get actual fight out of her, but it's a bit disappointing. And I really like Kemi Cooper. She's definitely a great character, especially when talking with Bowser. They definitely have some great dialogues there. A bit disappointing that she doesn't have an actual fight. As a kid, I enjoyed playing this game, despite not being the Super Mario RPG sequel I was hoping for. But playing it now as an adult, I do appreciate this game a bit more, despite its shortcomings. And it's a bit of a shame that not many people talk about this game compared to the sequel, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I mean, people still like this game. It's just that I don't really hear people wanting a remake of this game. It's just Thousand-Year Door, or like an HD remaster, because I think this game does deserve a remake of some sort. The story is great. The area Mario visits are interesting to look at and explore, and the turn-based battle are easy for anybody to pick up and play, as well as being complex enough to adjust Mario's stats and abilities thanks to the badges. I definitely recommend this game for anybody, especially those who want to get into the RPG genre. Paper Mario sold pretty well on the Nintendo 64, about 1.37 million copies. It's not the best selling on the console, but sold enough for sequels. The next game, Thousand Year Door, expanded on the original, Well, the others experimented different play styles, but those are reviews for another time. In fact, I actually reviewed a Paper Mario game before this, Paper Mario Curse Splash, and that game was a bit disappointing. Again, watch the review for more information. Thank you for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry this one took a bit longer as usual. Pretty much taking my time with these videos. Uh, this is more just a hobby, but I still want to continue to improve my video output schedule and hopefully get better every time. If you like what you watch, please subscribe and watch my other videos, especially the retrospective stuff, which is pretty much my main focus from now on. And I also do other let's plays. This is me, Bob 3, and I catch you guys later.